Or the 6 o'clock news. On March 23rd, 1998, Mikey gave up the booze. Mikey gave up the booze. Mikey gave up the booze. 'Cause he lost what he found, and then he found more to lose. So Mikey gave up the booze. Mike was a famous drinker. He was known everywhere. I partied with him in Custer, South Dakota. We got drunk with the mayor. I saw him out in New York City. I hung out with him in Pittsburgh. I ran into him in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We got drunk with Paul Westerberg. Yeah! Mikey gave up the booze. Mikey gave up the booze. He lost what he found and found more to lose. So Mikey gave up the booze. That's over, you know. An old drinking buddy called me up the other day. He was just passing through town. He was held up at a restaurant bar in Santa Fe called Maria's. And would I like to meet him for a drink, he asked. Well, it was a school night, so I said I'd meet him, but only for one. Well, 3 or 4 margaritas later, we were tanked, kicking around stories from our salad days, when we happened to meet several ladies sitting at the next table. They were visiting from Fort Collins, Colorado. They were in town for a friend's wedding and were having their girls' night out. Well, one thing led to the next, and we all decided to find another bar to go dancing. So we all spilled into my friend's 4-door Land Rover, and as we roared out of the parking lot, I made a mental note to myself at that point that I'd left my car at Maria's. We found another bar down off the plaza. We all started shaking our booty to the wonderful DJ playing those hits from the 80s and shaking our booty with those wonderful girls from Fort Collins, Colorado. One of them, her name was Christina, really seemed interesting to me. Her father had been a military man. She'd traveled most of her life, but now she managed the J. Crew there in Fort Collins, but was actually thinking about going back to graduate school to study art history. Well, one thing led to the next, and we began smooching, touching each other under the table. Let's get out of here, she whispered into my ear. So we spilled out into the cool night air. And when I learned that her motel was all the way out on Sirius Road, it occurred to me once again that I'd left my car at Maria's. Christina and I took a cab out to her motel and made exquisite sex several times. And when we awoke, we realized that we were in love. Christina quit her job in Fort Collins and moved to Santa Fe, and within a year we were married and putting a down payment on a little 7-acre plot up on Glorieta, on which we built a small passive solar 2-bedroom home with brown stucco and a red tin roof. But that didn't last long. We had to add on because we began to have many beautiful children. Christina went back to graduate school and got her master's in art history, and I became a very successful online mortgage broker. But at the age of 57, I was diagnosed with a malignant brain tumor. The best in the profession said I only had a short time left, but I was blessed in those final days to be surrounded by friends and family that showered me with love and faith and a brave acceptance of death. But in that final moment, as I began to slip into the darkness and into the hallway at the end of which was the bright light, the light of everlasting life, I was overcome by a sense of failure, a feeling of regret, an overwhelming sense of life left unlived. It was then that I realized once again that I'd left my car at Maria's. Thank you.